This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for Wednesday, January 23rd. I'm Mark Martin. Today, the Catholic high school in Kentucky remains closed after the controversy involving media coverage and liberal reaction against some of its students at the March for Life in Washington. And is there finally some movement to end the government shutdown in Washington? Plus, why are millennials leaving the church? And what can be done to successfully minister to them? And Chick-fil-A says it won't be open on Sundays, even for its restaurant on Super Bowl Sunday in this year's Super Bowl Stadium. Those stories and more on today's CBN NewsWatch. We begin now with the ongoing controversy over the high school students at the March for Life in Washington. Covington Catholic High School in Kentucky will remain closed because of violent threats against the school after a viral video appears to show young men, many of them wearing Make America Great Again hats, surrounding a Native American group at the Lincoln Memorial. But a longer video shows it was actually the Catholic boys who were being harassed. Nick Sandman told NBC he was only trying to calm things down.
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips. I respect him. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, in hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing.
A number of tweets threatened the boys with death. President Trump tweeted, "Nick Sandman and the students of Covington have become symbols of fake news and how evil it can be." Well, our Dale Hurd has been following this story, and he joins us now. Welcome, Dale. Thanks. So what is the whole story here?
Yeah, well, you see that the boys are there waiting to get on a bus to go home after being in a pro-life march, and they're being insulted by black Hebrew Israelites who are there demonstrating, yelling racist slurs at them. Then the Native American leader walks up with his drum and drums right next to the boy's ear, and he's trying to keep his composure. So completely different from the original rush to judgment.
So what is the lesson here for social media posters and journalists alike?
Yeah, hold your fire, wait. But, you know, another lesson is the amount of hatred toward Donald Trump and conservatives, some could say even Christians, white Christians. I mean, the social media sphere went crazy, and it's alarming. It feels like a pre-Civil War atmosphere in this country, and we need to pray about it. We need to pray for a healing, and we need to pray for protection for people.
Yeah, we definitely do. All right, Dale Hurd, thanks so much for your insights.
Sure.
In other news, the Senate plans to vote Thursday on the president's proposal for a compromise to end the government shutdown. It would trade some protections for certain immigrants, including Dreamers, in exchange for full funding of the wall. But Democrats have said the bill hides several major changes, but Republicans see it as progress. The White House reportedly sees the offer as a test of whether Democrats can hold their members together in opposition to the president. Even some Democrats are urging House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to compromise or propose a deal that would reopen the government, then address border security. The Supreme Court has ruled that President Trump's transgender military ban can go into effect. The president first announced the policy in July of 2017. It blocks transgender individuals from serving with limited exceptions. Despite a push from the Trump administration, the justices did not rule on the merits of the case, but today's ruling does allow the ban to go forward while the lower courts continue to work through it. The U.S. Supreme Court says it needs more information in the case of Coach Joe Kennedy and won't hear his case at this time. Kennedy is the Bremerton High School coach who was fired for refusing to stop praying on the football field with his players. Kennedy's attorneys say that although the court declined to reverse the lower court decisions against him for now, several justices are concerned about the rulings thus far. Justices Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh wrote, "The Ninth Circuit's understanding of the free speech rights of public school teachers is troubling and may justify review in the future." Kennedy's attorneys say the case continues, returning to the district court. A state judge struck down Iowa's fetal heartbeat abortion law Tuesday. Judge Michael Huppert found the law unconstitutional, referring to decisions from the Iowa Supreme Court, as well as citing several federal court cases. The law would ban an abortion once a heartbeat is detected in a fetus, which can happen as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy. The law was passed last year, but did not go into effect after it was challenged in court by abortion providers, Planned Parenthood of the Heartland, and an abortion clinic. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, who signed the bill into law, said, "I am incredibly disappointed in today's court ruling because I believe that if death is determined when a heart stops beating, then a beating heart indicates life." The ruling was released on the 46th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion nationwide on January 22, 1973. Today, Turkish President Recep Erdogan, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Iranian President Rouhani are set to meet about the future of the Middle East, following President Trump's announcement about his plans to pull U.S. troops out of northeast Syria. As Chris Mitchell reports from that area, the future of much of the Middle East now hangs in the balance.
The terrain here in northeast Syria is rolling hills, and even in the background you can see the mountains of Turkey. But in the past few weeks, this area has become some of the most strategic ground in the Middle East. Following the announcement of the pullout of U.S. troops from Syria, the surrounding nations want to fill that vacuum. Turkey to the north, Iran from the east, Syria and Russia to the west. For the time being, U.S. boots are still on the ground, but who eventually wins this tug of war will dramatically shape the destiny of the Middle East. Syrian leaders of this region are telling CBN News they have two major fears. First, the prospect of an invasion of Turkey from the north, and second, the possibility of Iran coming in from the east. They're caught in the middle, while Russia and the Assad regime are trying to pull these Syrians into their orbit. Some are saying they would rather deal with Assad and let Iran in than deal with Turkey. That would increase the danger to Israel exponentially. Without the presence of U.S. troops, they feel they'll be at the mercy of all these major powers. In addition, to the west, there's a new level of open warfare between Israel and Iran. It's all part of a new emerging Middle East. We'll have more reports here from northeast Syria, including what these new developments mean for Christians in the region. Some are openly talking about the possibility of another genocide. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, northeast Syria.
Coming up, new information shows that young people, the millennial generation, are leaving the church. We talked to some of them to learn about their experiences in church, and we'll hear from a pastor who's had success in holding on to millennials.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible, because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured. God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
Welcome back. Recent studies show the percentage of church-going millennials in America is decreasing. CBN News talked to a few millennials about their church experience. We also spoke with the pastor on how he found success with this generation. Heather Sells brings us that story.
The church has faced challenges over the centuries, and the latest could be one of its biggest: abandonment. Studies show almost 6 in 10 millennials raised in the church have left. The renowned Barna Research Group also found growth in the nun movement. That is, people identifying themselves as having no religious affiliation. Young people who grew up in the church told us the church isn't addressing issues important to them.
I think there's a lot of taboo with some of these topics, even with like sexuality and race, like all that stuff, like we don't talk about it.
I think at times I can feel that pastors desire to address some of the tough topics, but I think in other moments I can also feel that we're just dipping our toe in the water.
Austin Fidel almost became one of the statistics. He initially left the church because he did not feel known, heard, or understood. Austin and the people in our millennial focus group, however, don't believe it's just the church's fault.
I don't know what exactly has caused the millennial generation to come towards things with a sort of knowing it all mentality.
We could have a list of all the things that we would love to find in a church, but I think the biggest thing is submitting all of that to the Father and being willing to be open to being uncomfortable and being stretched.
And focusing on big things like that is making a difference for one Virginia church. New Life pastor Jeremy Miller has found a way to hold on to millennials.
Honestly, I don't even feel like we try to target them. Our target is to see people walk in the fullness of who they are in Christ, and that they become disciples and they become these things. And so with that, I think that's the same story throughout the Bible. Is that's what we're focusing on, is creating disciples.
Miller is doing this through a weekly service called City Life.
It's not like I'm leading this, we're leading this together. It's a group of us that are doing this. A leadership team of about 30 different people, 30 young adults who are hungry for Jesus.
Common threads are a desire for truth and for a real relationship with church leaders.
The struggle that I see with millennials would be oftentimes is that they just want to, like, sometimes we just as a church will just want you to join the system, and they want to join the relationship, they want to join the family.
I absolutely believe that there's a hunger in our generation for discipleship, and I think a lot of that comes through in a pursuit of authenticity and a pursuit of being real.
I do think there's a huge responsibility on the church to not just develop programs for discipleship, but be real and be genuine.
I mean, we can make it millennial, but I think it's all generations are hungry for the reality and the truth of His presence.
Most church leaders agree there's no easy fix or formula that will keep millennials in the church. But building authentic relationships is a great start. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Still ahead, we'll hear from a celebrity trainer whose personal faith story has unlocked the secret to getting fit and inspired his new book. We'll be right back.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear. but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
The start of a new year often comes with a resolution to lose weight or get healthy. But keeping that resolution isn't easy. At 1 month into 2019, it's a safe bet that many people have already broken their diet and fitness promises. Celebrity trainer Alec Penix, that is, says he's cracked the code to get people back on track, and he's sharing it in his new book called 7 Sundays. Alec paid a visit to our Studio 5 program on the CBN News Channel to show Ephraim Graham how he connects faith and fitness.
Alec Penix strikes a pose with model good looks, a winning smile, and a strikingly fit physique.
For some of those guys out there that are looking to get a flatter chest, I like to call it a superhero chest.
But getting picture perfect has been quite the journey for this Hollywood trainer who grew up in Michigan.
It wasn't a pretty childhood.
It all started around when I was 5 years old. My parents got a divorce, and around the same time, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. And because of that disability, I was bullied a lot in school. You know, kids would call me things like SPED, which means special education. But I was always a positive kid growing up. And I was able to harness that pain that came from those experiences, and I directed it towards working out in sports. And that ultimately transitioned into exercise being a tool to shape my body. Yeah. But that led me to be unfulfilled.
You blazed a trail for yourself going from your home to Hollywood, literally with nothing,
right.
Sleeping on the floor of a 3-bedroom apartment, saying, I want to be a celebrity trainer.
Pop music star Shawn Mendes, Dancing with the Stars Mark Ballas, and actor Carlos Penavega are just a few of the familiar faces on Alec's ever-growing celebrity client list.
I wasn't necessarily somebody who was like completely lost. I had some sense of direction, but I didn't want to just serve myself. I wanted to just make the world a better place.
Take me back to, I guess, that moment where the breakthrough happens. It was sort of at a low point in terms of, was there a wedding party? What happened?
I was in Mexico. I was actually in the wedding party for my clients who I was really close with. But I was down there, we were celebrating, and we were, you know, having a good time. I'll let you read in between the lines, you know? And then the morning, or I should say afternoon, I woke up and I was just lying in bed, and I was feeling terrible, but not just I just drank a lot the night before, but there was something missing with me. I say that I was spiritually malnourished. And I would say that was the first time I ever prayed out loud, and I asked God for help. And that's when I heard the voice. At that moment, it changed my life, and God said, Alec, it's time to become the man I've called you to be. And from that very moment, I just was on fire. And then after that happened, I began to see my life change. And then I began to see the people around me change. And that's when I knew there was something special here.
That something special sparked Alex's book, 7 Sundays, a faith, fitness, and food plan for lasting spiritual and physical change.
I knew right away that somehow, some way, that once I was saved, not too far after that, I'm like, I feel like a calling of faith and fitness on my life.
Is there a difference you see when your clients make that connection between their faith and fitness? Do you see something happen in them?
Yes. I think that with our faith, it gives you this deeper introspection of yourself. It gives you this awareness that once was shoved away into abyss because you don't want to deal with it. And then once you start dealing with it, there's this initial phase that happens where it's hard. You start seeing some of the wounds and start seeing some of the healing that needs to take place. And that's where we really have to lean on our faith to get us through those moments. But once you get on the other side of that, you see such a reward and you see a change and you see the fruit of it in your life that you could never imagine.
And you can see more inspiring stories like this on Studio 5 with Ephraim Graham. He's sitting down with filmmaker Devon Franklin, and that's tonight at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. A Florida man was once one of the most feared men in the state. As founder of a notorious gang, he wreaked havoc on the streets of Miami. Thanks to a life-changing encounter, he's now leading people in a new direction. Charlene Aaron has his amazing story.
Life in Leisure City, Florida was anything but easy for young Renee Level Martinez.
I grew up, without a dad. My mom was in the streets. My mom was into the Santeria, which is like a form of witchcraft. Sacrificed an animal all over me as a kid, and I started seeing demons. They haunted me my whole life.
At age 12, that darkness led to a life of crime, with Level breaking into homes, stealing guns, and getting involved in drive-by shootings. In 1990, he started a gang known as the Latin Syndicates.
We had almost like 300 members, and feds was investigating us. Half of my homies are in prison, half of them are dead.
Level recalls staring death in the face numerous times.
I remember the time the gun jammed in my face. I remember the time the bullet grazed my head. The other time the bullet whistled by my ear. The times I was running through the backyard and they were shooting at me. All the times I got shot at. All the times I was half dead, but I was still alive.
Life changed somewhat after Level became a dad. In an attempt to better provide for his family, he pursued bare-knuckle fighting and mixed martial arts.
I became a professional fighter as my journey went on in life. I was always good at fighting. I started fighting bare knuckle with Kimbo Slice. I was beating everybody, bare knuckle. We were betting money in the backyards, bare knuckle. I'm winning. My name got so big that Telemundo came and they offered me a pro contract. I went to Nicaragua, beat 3-time world champion Ricardo Mayorga.
Yet those successes in the ring didn't fill the void he felt inside.
I had the money, I had the fame. I was doing the gangster music, but I was empty inside.
By this time, his mother had become a Christian and began praying for her son. In 2016, her prayers were answered when Level had a supernatural experience with God.
It's like he showed me my whole life in a matter of like 5 seconds. And I just got on my knees. I started crying out to God. And when he spoke to me, I knew that if I didn't surrender, I felt like I was gonna die.
I am here in a community that was once terrorized by Renee Level Martinez as the head of the Latin Syndicates gang. Today, Level is back here, but with a very different message.
So it's been like 2.5 years since that day. And since that day, I've been going to prison, the project, to the juvenile facilities, to the schools for a different reason. I came back to the streets I used to terrorize, but now I'm giving them life now. Yeah. Giving them Jesus, you feel me? Before it was death. Now I'm giving them Jesus.
Level now ministers to former gang members and is often seen baptizing people in some of the city's roughest neighborhoods.
Tell them, repent and be baptized in the name of Jesus Christ for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. Acts 2:38, and that's what I preach.
I almost died on many different occasions, but for some reason, I'm still here.
Meanwhile, a documentary called The Warrior Level has been made about Level's life. Churches are using it as an evangelistic tool, and according to the former gang leader, lives are being transformed.
When a lot of people come to Christ because of my testimony, and I'm just honored to be used by God. It's a privilege and an honor to be used by him, you know, because he could have chose anybody else. I could have been one of them people that died early, but I'm still here, and I'm grateful.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Leisure City, Florida.
Coming up, Chick-fil-A is known for not opening on Sundays, and the Chick-fil-A inside this year's Super Bowl stadium won't open up even on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll have that story right after this.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to his children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphan's Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Chick-fil-A is well known for being closed on Sundays, and it turns out that even the Super Bowl won't be enough for the fast food restaurant to make a change in that policy. The Chick-fil-A in the stadium where the Super Bowl will be played will stay closed on Super Bowl Sunday. This year's matchup will be the New England Patriots against the Los Angeles Rams on February 3rd in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Chick-fil-A said it wants to remain true to the values of its founder, Truett Cathy, who was a strong Christian. We want to remind you to listen each day to the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast with Caitlin Burke. It brings you inside the stories CBN News is covering. Caitlin talks with her colleagues for a behind-the-scenes look and more on the stories we bring you. Go to CBNNews.com and click on the Show tab to find the Daily Rundown page where you can listen and subscribe. And that's it for today's first edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more on the issues you care about most at CBNNews.com. And you can also watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News channel. Plus, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.